Hello everyone, this is Youjo, and I'm about to talk to you about workplace discrimination, and I'm going to get to the specifics of Louisiana. In most of the country, it is legal to fire someone based on their sexual orientation or gender identity or expression. One of these states, non-surprisingly to many of you, would be Louisiana, where I live. I would like to call on not just Louisianians, but everyone in the United States to call, write, email, and get into whatever kind of other contact. If you could find a way to get to them in person, get to them in person, senators and congressmen, and other forms of lawmakers that you deem respectable and acknowledgeable on the situation, to end workplace discrimination like that on that, level. It's just now I'm going to go to the rant part. It's just ridiculous that somebody can get fired for something that isn't relative to their job. And it seems like a lot of the country has decided to jump the gun about some things, but leave other things alone. Now, there was a period of time, the subject kind of fades in and out of people talking about workplace discrimination, and there are a lot of lawsuits that get filed on a yearly basis. But it's like people are more interested in the subject of marriage or, whatever you would call, a union like that. But it's like, I'm happy for you that your 30-year-old daughter could, get married to the woman of her dreams. But it's like not a lot of people are really thinking about that 20-year-old that got fired from her warehouse job because she came out as bisexual. Or, the guy that's like in construction and they found out he has some trans things going on and they fired him for that. And it's like it's like our priorities can be a little misconstrued sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that marriage isn't important. It's just that in a chronological order, people usually get a job before they get married. Go into some kind of work field. And I have Louisiana's congressman, and from what I know to be the current list of our representatives, John Fleming, Steve Scalise, and the others. We need to get into contact with them, and we need to call them, and we need to write them, and we need to do whatever it takes to get Louisiana off the naughty list about work discrimination. If you got fired because, you were lollygagging around and you fell asleep while you were supposed to be watching the counter or something like that, and you got fired or some other type of reprimand, that's your bad. But your sexual orientation has nothing to do with work conduct. Being bisexual isn't why you fell asleep behind the counter. It's probably because you stayed up all night when you knew you had to go to work the next day anyway. Or stayed up all morning, depending on when your shift is. I mean, no matter how flamboyant you are about whatever, that has nothing to do with your work ethic and conduct. It's like, it's perfect. Of course, it's like, I don't hear about people getting fired for being straight, but it's like people can be as straight as they want to be, and I say that in expression and talking about the things that they did, but it's like as long as they talked about doing those things with the opposite gender in a non-trans type of setting, it's totally fine. But anybody that does anything else, it's like, you can get fired for that, and that is something that I highly disagree with, and I would like to think a lot of people highly disagree with too. And the problem is that I see is that people think of everything on a large scale, and they're not trying to do the small scale things. You can try to get a bill passed, but the bill won't pass if you don't tell people that you want it. And the way that you tell people that you want it is even before they even start thinking of a bill, make contact with them and tell them that this shit's wrong and it needs fixing, and this is gonna, this is what's causing my social unrest in my area right now, and seeing as how you're supposed to be running this shit, you do something about it. And if you don't, I'm gonna vote in somebody that will come the next election. So it's like, I think the power to the people has changed its subject, I mean not its subject, but changed its meaning to like power of the people in government, it's always power of the people, the citizens. The citizens is what makes the government, and we have to make sure that the people that we put in there and the people that they've appointed to help them do the other little minor tasks are all working in favor of us and what we need to get done. And of course, what our economies need to get done. Even though money isn't always the fairest way to judge things, economy is important. Our social morale is important. I'd say our social, and now I'm going into my opinion. Social morale is more important because, you know, if you don't have morals, you ain't got shit. But apparently, having morals in itself is a whole different subject. What your moral, it's like, you know, if you disagree with something that somebody else says, then you're being immoral. No, you're not being immoral. You have a different set of morals. And they, you know, their morals just might be shitty as far as you're concerned, but they still have their set of morals. I mean, the word morals doesn't change. It's what's behind it to the individual that means something. And moralistically, I think that being able to fire somebody for sexual orientation and gender conditions is wrong, and we need to call people and change that. So let's get to it, America. Just want to put that out there.